Okay, so this headline dropped. After 19 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban filed for divorce. Big Hollywood couple, right? But honestly, the filing itself wasn't the real shocker. It was what happened next. Kidman's closest friend, Isla Fisher, went public saying she was really shocked. I mean, if she was stunned, someone Kidman was leaning on just months before. What does that say about the stories we were being fed? Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we dive deep into this huge Hollywood story. We're looking at the legal moves, the music industry ripples, and these carefully built stories around the split. Think secret prenup stuff, alleged digs in song lyrics. We're getting behind those headlines to see what was really going on.
Yeah, and we'll be looking at how these two sort of competing PR strategies played out. You had the blindsided story versus the inevitable story. And it's fascinating how just one authentic quote from Isla Fisher kind of blew the lid off things, acting as this really powerful counter-evidence. So stick around, because there's way more to this than just another celebrity breakup.
Okay, let's start with the separation itself. Because looking at the court docs, what really jumps out is how methodical it all seemed. Publicly, it kicked off September 30th, 2025. Kidman files in Nashville, cites irreconcilable differences. Sounds sudden, right? But the backstory tells a different story.
Exactly. That's the thing. The legal timeline and the emotional one seem totally out of sync here. The whole separation process was clearly deliberate, very planned out, not some chaotic implosion. And we clear this because the really critical stuff, like the parenting plan, was all settled way before that September 30th date. We have the proof. Urban signed the parenting plan for their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, back on August 29th. Kidman signed it September 6th. That's like a whole month before anyone in the public even knew they were splitting.
So all the legal ducks were in a row. Lawyers had done their thing, terms agreed, and they just waited to hit the public button. But hang on, if her camp later claimed she was blindsided, why sign off on everything a month early? Doesn't that kind of contradict the whole chalked narrative?
Well, that's the clash you often see in these high-profile divorces, isn't it? The legal teams, the crisis managers, their job is to make the process smooth, predictable, airtight. The emotion, the shock, the hurt, the betrayal, that's the personal reality. But the execution is often quite mechanical. They sorted the custody details. Kidman gets primary residential custody, 306 days. Urban gets 59 days, roughly every other weekend, all agreed beforehand.
And strategically, the smartest PR move they made was probably taking the money issue off the table completely.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial move. By settling all the property stuff and spousal support privately and avoiding any public fight over child support, they instantly killed the biggest potential tabloid feeding frenzy, that huge speculative number, the $243.6 million divorce. Poof, gone, deflated immediately.
Right, so no money fight means the focus instantly snaps to the why, doesn't it? To the personal drama.
Precisely. You nailed it. They basically created a narrative vacuum. If the public can't speculate about who got what financially, they immediately start digging into the relationship itself. Why did it fail? What went wrong personally? It becomes all about behavior and emotion.
Which just perfectly set the stage for this immediate war of competing stories. It was almost simultaneous how these opposing PR campaigns launched. So first up, you had the blindsided narrative pushed by Kidman's side.
Yeah, and that was textbook sympathy play. Framed Kidman as the loyal wife, the victim almost. Sources close to her were saying she didn't want this. She had been fighting to save the marriage. The whole message was about feeling betrayed and upset, painting Urban as the one who'd quietly moved out, using his tour as a convenient distraction.
But it's interesting how that narrative had to evolve pretty quickly. Like, by mid-October, the tone shifted. It went from victimhood more towards resilience, right? The line became, Kidman is not dwelling on regrets, she's moving on, turning a new leaf. Okay, so that's one side. Then you have the counter-narrative from Urban's camp, the inevitable story.
Right, and their approach was all about depersonalizing it, making it seem less like a betrayal, more like a sad consequence. Sources connected to him started saying the split was kind of inevitable, that their separate lives weren't exactly a secret among his inner circle. And they really leaned on his demanding High and Alive world tour as the main contributing factor. So the framing there is, it's not a personal failing, it's just the unfortunate reality of a huge career. Logistics, not betrayal.
And this is where things got really interesting, because suddenly stuff they'd already done or said publicly started getting reinterpreted, right? The era of the hidden jab, like his 2024 song, Straight Line. He performed it on his new show, The Road, in October 2025, right after the divorce news broke.
Exactly, and what's key is how the filing changes the meaning of everything before it. Before the split, maybe that song's just about a general feeling. But the second the divorce hits the news, the media instantly linked that performance back to an old Instagram post he'd made, talking about wanting to break free from a soul-sucking routine, maybe in a relationship.
Boom. Suddenly, generic artistic angst becomes a specific, targeted parting shot at his wife of 19 years, all viewed through this new lens of the split.
Precisely. The narrative shapes how you see the art. And that narrative got fueled by other things, too, like the whole Maggie Bao speculation. Remember that clip went viral? Urban performing The Fighter with Bao, who's in his band. Fans immediately picked up on their supposed flirtatious vibe, and then these completely unproven rumors started flying that he changed lyrics he used to dedicate to Nicole and sang them for Bao instead. Yeah, zero confirmation on that.
Which must have created a mini crisis for Urban's team, right? Because that undercuts it's just the career angle, so they countered with what you called the lonely artist justification.
Yeah, they had to double down on the career as culprit narrative, and fast.
Yeah.
So on that same show premiere, The Road, Urban does this whole monologue about how tough tour life is, waking up sick as a dog, feeling completely lonely and miserable. It frames the career and his sacrifice for it as the real reason the marriage couldn't work, diverts attention from any alleged personal stuff.
So you've got these two clear strategies playing out. Kidman's camp going for sympathy, the loyal partner hurt. Urban's camp using professional justification, blaming the demands of the job.
Two very slick, sophisticated campaigns aimed at shaping public perception. But they seem to overlook one crucial wild card, a close friend who wasn't part of their managed bubble and who, critically, had just walked the exact same path.
And that, of course, leads us straight to Isla Fisher. To really get why her reaction hit so hard, you absolutely have to understand her own situation. It was running parallel to Kidman's just a few months ahead.
It's uncanny, really. Almost mirror images. Fisher's 23-year relationship with Sacha Baron Cohen, 13 years married. They announced their split in April 2024, finalized the divorce June 2025, just 3 months before Kidman filed hers. So Fisher's literally just ahead of Kidman on this same public and private journey. It gives her a unique vantage point.
And Fisher hadn't been hiding. She'd actually been quite public about framing her own post-divorce phase. Her whole narrative was about reinvention, right? Talking about using the Carl Jung method, not dwelling, seeing the split as an opportunity to reinvent what the last act of my life is now. She kind of set the template for handling it gracefully in public.
And that context is vital for understanding the friendship dynamic. We know they're close, Kidman and Fisher. Fellow Australian actresses, friends for years. And critically, Kidman had been there for Fisher during her separation announcement in April 2024, which, you remember, happened right around the time of those Rebel Wilson allegations against Cohen. So the dynamic was established. Kidman was the supportive friend.
Which makes that moment on the Fly on the Wall podcast, October 23rd, 2025, so potent. This wasn't some planned statement. It felt raw, an off-the-cuff reaction.
It was such an interesting moment. The hosts first ask Fisher about her own divorce, which she confirms is finalized. Then the host does this clever pivot. Instead of asking for gossip, he frames it as empathy. How does it feel having a friend, Kidman, going through something similar? It turned a potentially nosy question into something more sensitive.
And Fisher's answer. Wow. It was like this flash of genuine emotion immediately followed by putting up the classic celebrity shield.
The honesty hit first. Her exact words, I'm really, really, really shocked. That triple really, it wasn't casual, it was emphatic. That became the headline everywhere, instantly. It signaled pure, unscripted surprise. It felt like the authentic feeling leaking out past the PR wall.
But then, almost in the same breath, she slams on the brakes, pulls out the media training manual.
Instantly. Right after the shock, she says, I have left a message. I have not connected yet, but I don't really want to comment on that because there are children involved. And let's break down that second part, saying because there are children involved, that is the ultimate, unarguable reason for silence in these situations. It immediately reframes the boundary as responsible parenting, not secrecy. Shuts down further probing instantly. Very effective.
But it's the shock itself that's the really telling piece of data here, isn't it? That gut reaction directly contradicts Urban's whole inevitable narrative.
Massively. Think about it. If the split was truly not a secret among his inner circle, as his camp claimed, then surely Kidman's closest friend, someone who just went through the same thing and was presumably offering support, would have had some inkling, been given a private heads up. The fact that Fisher was genuinely really shocked strongly suggests Kidman kept her marital problems incredibly private, perhaps even from the one person best positioned to understand and empathize.
Which really lends weight to the idea that, okay, maybe the legal stuff was planned meticulously for months. But emotionally, for Kidman herself, the blindsided feeling was actually her genuine reality. The legal prep and the personal experience weren't the same thing.
And that other part of Fisher's quote, "I had left a message I have not connected yet," that's also incredibly revealing about how these things work at that level.
Right. It implies that Fisher, her close friend, found out about the divorce filing the same way we all did through the media.
Yeah. It speaks volumes about the kind of lockdown mode someone like Kidman enters during a major crisis. Even close, supportive friends can be temporarily outside the immediate circle. It underscores this strange isolation that can happen, even when you have people who want to help.
It's also this fascinating role reversal, isn't it? Last year, Kidman was supporting Fisher. Now, Fisher, who has already navigated this publicly and framed it as reinvention, is perfectly positioned to be that support system for Kidman, to show her friend, look, you get through this.
Exactly. The torch has kind of been passed in terms of that specific type of support.
So Fisher's moment of shock really did, just for an instant, pull back the curtain on this whole carefully managed PR battle. It highlighted that gap between the polished media stories and the messy, private, emotional truth. The whole situation really became a case study. Professional justification versus personal betrayal.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Beyond the gossip, what's the real cost? Emotionally, strategically. When your public brand seems to demand a narrative that might not match the lived reality of a 19-year relationship, that tension, that contradiction, that's what makes this more than just another celebrity headline. It sticks with you.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.